This is East Carolina Hall of Famer and Utah Jazz first round draft pick Blue Edwards. You're listening to Pirate Basketball Overtime on the Sports Objective, your home for the best East Carolina hoops coverage.
Welcome. You have entered the home of the ECU Pirates. Pirate Nation, stand up and put your hooks in the sky. Let's make this competition feel what it's like to be surrounded. Y'all with me? Come on. Yeah. Let's get it started. Get your hands at your pocket. Turn up the volume. We're the bomb and you're the target. It's on. Mind blowing with the whatnots. Doing everything but stop. Trust dog, y'all ain't ready for this. High powered ECU's on fire.
Welcome into Pirate Basketball Overtime right here on the Sports Objective. I'm Dave Richmond. The Pirates lose a buzzer beater. I'm actually I've got a room tonight at Heartbreak Hotel. The Pirates lose 78-75. With us right now, my good buddy from China Grove, Bubba Rosenbaum. What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot, Dave. Doing okay, relatively speaking. Heartbreaker for the Pirates and Damian Dunn. What a shot. Not that bad a defense on that final play, but he just made a clutch shot. Tip your hat to him. And you said punched. I thought you were about to say that you punched a hole in the wall or something, Dave. I thought you were going to have to do some sheetrock work.
Yeah, I've got to call one of my handymen to come in because I'm so angry with officiating, but that's a whole – we'll get to that. Bubba, I will promise you the only good thing about this show, besides our viewers and listeners, is our good friend. Welcome to the show, Overtime. You can come on as much as you want. B Pays, what's up, brother?
Oh, I'm enjoying it. Hey, I didn't know you, Bubba, you from China Grove?
I'm originally from Lexington. I went to North Davidson, and I know you remember Domain Duckett. Domain was Domain was a year ahead of me, but I grew up in the greater Winston-Salem area, and then I moved here when I got married.
Go down to Gary's Barbecue, get me 2 sandwiches with hot sauce and a side of onion ring.
Gotcha. Oh, that sounds good to me. You can make me happy. Well, where do we start? Well, definitely a disappointment. I would say that certainly with that shot, the Pirates started out kind of cold. It was 7-0 early on in the game. Disappointing start for the Pirates, but of course the great thing about basketball that I love so much is that it's a game of runs, and the Pirates actually, I think it trimmed that lead pretty fast, 7-5. And I really thought with this team, once one of the common elements is a scoring drought, like they saw in the second half. They have every game there's a 3 or 4 minute drought, and every possession with this team is very crucial, very important, because they seem to be paced like we talk about football, with basketball too. Now with Dooley, you and I were talking in the green room about these are games that are so close, and you know as well as I do with basketball. I mean, one little mistake can be the difference in the game, and it seems like with this team, you can't give 3 or 4 minutes without shooting, making baskets.
No, and I mean, it seems like every game there's a run where they go through one of these runs. And that's part of basketball, I guess, the momentum. But yeah, it gets frustrating because, as a fan, we can see some of the things that looks like it's going to happen. Like, like Brandon Suggs had that turnover late in the game. Right before I said, please, Brandon Suggs, do not have a turnover. And he went right in that middle and threw that ball away. So you kind of see, it's some of the patterns. But, hey, the kid made a shot at the end. You can't really – he made a shot. And that's going to happen. It's going to happen in this business. So.
Yeah, this was our first true road game, and I think all in all, we handled it very well. And it's amazing. You look up, you score 75 points, and you shoot over 50% from the floor, despite the 4+ minute drought to start the game. And then you had about a 6-minute drought there in the second half, like Dave mentioned, from the 15.5-minute mark down to about the 9.5-minute mark. Pirates didn't score a point, and still had a chance to win.
Yeah, you have, and you have your lead scorer. They held him to 8 points tonight, Tristan. they doubled him a lot on that perimeter. So it was, it's a tough loss, but me and Dave were talking in the green room. Listen, we're not getting blown out. I mean, you got to look at our Oklahoma's 11-3. Davidson is 12-2 and is leading the Atlantic 10 right
Yeah,
now.
Davidson's won 11 straight.
11 straight, yeah. And then, Liberty's going to be Liberty. So, you're going to lose, you probably won a game last week that you probably shouldn't have with Tulane because, you probably shouldn't have won that game. And you probably should have won the game today. So, tough stretch coming up with Cincy and Memphis and UCF, that run. But Cincinnati's on the same Cincinnati team. I think there's some winnable games. I think we could beat Memphis at home next Saturday.
And this was another game, you've heard Coach Dooley say it several times now, as far as if we can just find a way, those stretches where we go 5-6 minutes without a point. So if you can just, score a few points in that stretch, then you win the game. Instead of F play, then, have C basketball during that stretch. Hopefully that team or this team will figure that out as the season goes on. And it's amazing, given that stretch that we still had a chance to win against a young but talented Temple team on the road, a team that just won at UCF.
Yeah, and I think that there's got to be somebody else on this team that can get to the basket. I think you saw Tremont were able to do it, and Tristan can be able to do it, but who's that third guy? Vance Jackson had some big threes today, but then he also had some times where he got caught up in the middle, and it confuses me a little bit because he's big guy, and and how big is Frank's play today? It's Frank, right?
Frank.
Yeah,
there you go, Frank. Yeah,
yeah, Frank. Yeah, I mean that's his play today. The only thing I always struggle with East Carolina. I love East Carolina basketball. God bless me. It's probably put some age on probably put some gray hairs on me and things like that. I love it, but I wish we had a big guy that could just go up and yank it on some folks. Like that end of the game sequence where Frank got the ball inside. I guess he tried to double pump and go up and got fouled. And he missed the one. He did 1-on-1 free throw. I'm yelling at the TV in my little. Just go up and flush it. Just go up and flush it. Don't hesitate. Just go up and flush it and be done with it.
Yeah, no question. I loved his play. We missed him, of course. I think he was on COVID protocol last game, right? And then we have him back. But I tell you, one of the to me, one of the guys that frustrates me, and I think he's a great player. He's so streaky as JJ Miles. Man, I'll tell you what, he's a sharpshooter. You get that kid going, man, he is unstoppable. He's one that and it's a team sport. I'm not just harping on him, saying that's why we lost the game. I don't want to sound like I'm just saying if you look at his body of work, all of a sudden he gets, makes a few in a row, and then you're like, what happened to you the rest of the game? He's the kind of guy that easily with his abilities could be scoring 20, 25 points a game. I think, based on his shooting ability, but I don't know what happens to him. He'll make a few in a row and then he goes absent. So we're talking about those scoring droughts when they were, double, triple team in Newton, he's one of those guys that can knock down a three or knock down a big jump shot. In my opinion, that's, we have, by the way, if you want to make a comment on our question on Facebook or Twitter, YouTube, then you can do that. And we'll put that up as B Pays has done many, many times on our show over the years. So last couple of years. So you could do that. I know Josh Thomas has been chiming in. But guys, that was one of those games that we are not going to finish number 11th. I don't think, but I really believe we are the 6th or 7th best team in the league. And those games like that could really propel us to do even better than what I think that we're going to do. Is we got to find a way to bite, scratch, claw those victories out one way or another.
Yeah, and I think you look at it two ways. So you could say, hey, we've had two tough ones, won one, lost one. So does that build for you, for the future? Does that get you ready when it comes to close games down the stretch? I think it's just like we're missing one thing. There's one element, and I think it's just that, I talked about earlier, it's just that third person that can in clutch time can get to the basket. You look back at that 2000.
Somebody like Winston Tabbs.
Winston Tabbs. Yeah. Well, you look back at that, that CIT run we made. The thing that made that run such a good was Miguel Paul. Miguel Paul could get to the basket. And he could, and the thing is, they had to respect Miguel shooting that three too. And so I think Tremont can be that guy because look what Tremont did at the end of the game. Stole the ball, hit a three, played the D, and he had a dunk. Yeah.
To your point, Paige, as far as Miguel Paul, you think about the three to win the CIT. Akeem Richmond, Miguel Paul was getting pressure out there at the top of the key, and he started to penetrate, and he found Akeem on the left wing, and it was ball game.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's what I think we're missing. I think if we had a point guard that could do that, not that Tremont maybe he can, but I just don't think the way the offense is running right now. I don't like Newton at point guard. I don't like him having to control the ball out. I'm not a fan of that.
I was going to ask you guys that. I haven't been, and now that you said that, I'm glad you said that, B-Pace, because I was going to say that a few games ago, and I've just realized I'm getting so old I forgot. But I was going to say that why don't we have TRW as a point guard and Newton as he's more, to me, a shooting guard. Don't you guys think? He's a two, I think.
He's a two that can penetrate off the dribble. I think he's a two that, I think when you put him out up top as a point guard, I think it takes a little bit of away from what he can do, because that's what they did today. So basically they doubled him on the perimeter. They doubled him out on that 3-point line and made him get rid of the ball. But if you've got a point guard, a true point guard that can penetrate and make them come to him so he can get it out to those guys, I think that I think that would be, I think we've got all the other elements. I think we've got all the other elements, and then you had the Dunn kid had a special day today. You're going to have that. I'm sure Tulane went home the other night, was like, damn, Newton killed us. Well, that's how we feel today about Dunn. The kid just had a special game.
No question. And one of the things that we were talking about before, Bubba, was while Paige and I were in the green room, was that kid's from Kinston. It's something we've talked about so many times on Overtime and on this show is, I was telling Paige, joking with Paige, we need like a satellite office, Bubba, like in Kinston somewhere where we can have some dude. Can we get some, I don't know how legal that is, but some dude to recruit Kinston only. Is it a coach, or what do we have to do to camp out in Kinston?
I don't, Bubba, you might can think the last kid I believe we had from Kinston was Chuck Jones in the mid-90s.
Definitely remember Chuck Jones. And then you had, Ingram transferred back from Wake Forest.
That's right. He was, Ingram transferred. I forgot. Ingram transferred back. Yeah. But I don't remember us getting in it because I think Chuck was a transfer too, if I remember. I think he went to JUCO or something first.
I want to say Chuck Jones came directly, but I may be mistaken. But yeah, to your point, guys, as far as the recruitment of Kinston, Johnny Gardner and I were talking about this, and may have actually been at halftime during the game, talking about the game that Dunn was having. And I knew I recalled a story. His senior year, he transferred and played down in Georgia. So when that happened, I know there was a connection between Coach McKee at Temple and Jerry Stackhouse, according to what I heard, and that led to him choosing Temple despite East Carolina recruiting him heavily, especially during his days when he was at Kinston. I think he was on our campus a lot, maybe like his freshman and sophomore years of high school.
Yeah, because I looked at his offer list was Charlotte, Temple, Georgia Southern. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Charlotte, Temple, Georgia Southern, a couple other maybe mid majors. But it wasn't even an offer from East Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that just drives me crazy. And in Pitt County, as Paige and I were talking about, Farmville Central and South Central are very good in basketball. There's got to be some of those kids are going to ACC schools. So why, even the second, as I joke about Kinston, but the second or third best guy at South Central, Farmville Central, some of the other area high schools are good enough to play in the American. I mean, I really believe that. Maybe I'm wrong, but not saying a bench player on those teams, but there's got to be. You can only pick so many guys, and anyway, that's just so frustrating. It's a story, I guess, because we don't have a storybook history, a storybook past, a rich tradition of basketball. But I really believe basketball is a sport that if we put some love into it beyond, I know we did with the practice facility, but one of the things I've heard privately that we're hearing from different sources is Dooley's very upset because what he's promised he hasn't. And we were talking about another coach pays. It's amazing how our school does it. They're promised a whole bunch of stuff, but when it comes time, when the chips are down, the cards are on the table, so to speak. Then, yeah. Oh, you remember we were talking about that practice facility? Yeah, you're not gonna get that this year. So that's what is very frustrating. Basketball, we haven't. I know we recruited. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? We had a $2 million budget for recruiting for basketball, but what is it going to take for us to put more love for basketball? I don't know.
What is so what are some of the things that we think that's not happening? What is there what that was promised to him? Do we know?
Well, I don't know I don't, maybe Bubba knows. I know one thing that he was not told the full story on. I know this very well is the APR
APR situation.
was a real I mean, it was
Oh yeah,
bad.
when he took over, yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
Real bad transfers and all that stuff. And so now, and it was just really bad. And he wasn't told the truth about that. As far as I'm not sure about everything, but I haven't been told. Have you been told specifics, Bubba?
No, one of the things I may guess, this may not be true, but there's a lot of emphasis on being on chartering flights, and I think we chartered more his first year or two. I'm not sure if that kind of fell off with some of the financial restraints of COVID, but I think that could potentially be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know that the athletic director and he have a very frosty relationship. So it's a very cold relationship. We've heard that from 2 or 3 sources. So not to get off on a tangent on that, but just we need to do everything we can to keep Dooley here. Another problem we have is that Dooley's supposed to get after this year 1.2 million. And so maybe what one of the problems we have is that the fact that they don't want to, the administration I heard doesn't want to pay him 1.2 million. Maybe I don't know. We don't have it, but we've got to find a way to keep Dooley because if not, we're going to go backwards again. Where you and I were talking about how all these games are so exciting now. Where before, like hopefully, Pirate fans in the past would say in basketball, hopefully we can keep it close.
Yeah, they've got to figure. I mean, Gilbert's got to step up and figure a way. I mean, I don't know what his thinking is, but if you let Dooley go, I mean, nationwide, how attractive this job going to be? I mean, the thing with Joe is Joe's well respected in this industry and in basketball, college basketball. So you let a guy like that go, where are you at nationwide when people are looking at this job?
That's right. And the other thing that we have pays is the very fact I was thinking about this at halftime is going into the kitchen and getting me a beverage is the very fact that we have, you think about Dooley, we need stability for this program. And I think Joe is happy here. From my understanding, his family, obviously, his wife, Tanya, and Max, his son, I know they were happy with Greenville when they came back here. His mom and dad live here. After his first stint, they moved to Greenville and fell in love with it. And they love Greenville. So he's happy here in Greenville. He works tirelessly. The guy works like probably 20 out of 24 hours a day on basketball. So the stability is something we can't fire a coach every 4 or 5 years and then wonder why are we not improving in basketball? I mean, people can argue, well, things aren't going well, but I think even today, 10-4, you want to be 14-0, obviously, but 10-4 in basketball, we still have a chance to have a winning season.
Well, to your point, Dave, and this can't. I'm not saying use this as a crutch, but it's just looking at the facts of the situation. I mean, today, if we would have found a way to pull that off, it was the first time that we had, been 2-0 in conference play since Dooley's second year of his first stint. So 25
Wow.
years since we had been 2-0 in league play, and that's the CAA, Conference USA, and the American. And then in the last 45 years, we've only finished above 500 in conference play twice. Dooley's second year, his first stint, and that CIT year when we won it all. And there's only been a handful of years in there where we finished 500 in play. I mean, it's just this. I think this job has more going for it than ever before, but that doesn't change the fact that it is still a very, very challenging job. And I definitely think it can be done, but more patience is required than most jobs, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've got to just make. Listen, they got, we talked about commitment. Yeah, we got the practice facility and things like that, but we've talked about it many times on here, and I've mentioned it. We've got to have a commitment not only from the athletic department, but from the marketing department. We got to have a commitment to the program. You can't just listen. During when Mo was coach, I DJ'd a lot of recruiting stuff, and I used to listen to these recruits like talking. When these recruits would come in, their mom and dad would be talking, they'd be around me while I was DJing. I just would catch different things. And the things that these kids and these folks want, like they want excitement. They want, I call it smoke and mirrors. They want all the stuff around these. They want to see excitement at a game. They want to see the music right, the giveaways right. Like recruits, they look at stuff like this. These kids are different now. I mean, they look at the uniforms and what kind of how many pairs of shoes they're gonna have, or if they come on a recruiting visit, how the atmosphere and the music and stuff like that are. It's serious. They really truly do, and I think we have to step up on the marketing side and be able to do that stuff because the product will come. The product will get better, and it's gotten better. I mean, listen, I was hard on Dooley last year. I mean, I love Coach, but I thought that at some points last year, I know it was a COVID situation, but I thought at some points last year he got out coached in the second half a lot of games, and I think he had to. I think this year, I think he made the moves. I mean, we lost Gardner, but to me, we've got just as good a team we would have with Gardner. And I know that's probably not a popular opinion in East Carolina athletics, but I think we play faster and better. So we just got to add. We got to add the marketing part of this to thing. We have a great logo. We have great colors. We have a rabid fan base. We have Adidas as a sponsor. We got to use all that to make sure that we're doing the right thing to market this program.
And Bubba, I was telling Pays that, and you're another example of a great pirate in your family, but we have a lot of great pirates that between watching and listening and people that don't even know about us, maybe, but in Pirate Nation, that if we had a huge a kickoff to basketball, and have B Pays, there DJing, we've got a lot of great people that have a lot of great talents. We could put on a killer show, and that could be maybe their fundraiser, right, Pays? I mean, and with the different hip hop artists that and different things we could do some really cool stuff there. And that's, to me, one of the things I look at as a coach is to definitely sell your team, sell your, like that. And that's one thing that's missing for me right now. I'm hoping that at ECU, at the Ward Sports Medicine Building, I wish they would listen to us. Let's do next year a killer basketball kickoff or whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it, but I will help out if I have to volunteer, pro bono, whatever. I'll do it to help out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to help out my school.
Absolutely. I was telling Dave in the green room when I was in radio in Wilmington, and I was doing radio down there from 2001 to 2004, and this was at the height of when UNCW was really good. Brett Blizzard and
The tournament get teams.
tournament. Yeah, they beat I think they beat USC and lost on a last second shot to Maryland first round. Won a couple CAA tournaments. But I used to do their kickoff. It was tremendous, man. I mean, it was free. They gave free food to all the students. There was music. There was games. There was a radio partner of mine. His name is B. Dot. He works at 102 Jams in Greensboro. He is now the in host. Hubert hired him as the in host at Carolina basketball games now, and he's doing a hell of a job. And the reason he got the job was he did their Midnight Madness. I think it's Midnight with Hubert. Used to be Midnight with Roy. I guess they call it Midnight with or Late Night with Roy. I think it's Late Night with Hubert now. But that's how he did such a good job at the Late Night with thing. They hired him for the whole year. Like he's doing women's too. I saw him at Carmichael. Like he's doing everything. I mean, but he brought a whole nother. The kids love him. I mean, that's the stuff we've got to think outside the box. We got to start to have. We can't be like this marketing wise with basketball. We got to kind of be like this. We can't keep going to the same folks, making sure, okay, we're going to use the same things. We got to think outside the box. When you're an underdog, you're coming in, you can't do like everybody else. You got to be able to consult and do different things, to do that. So
Why not have and Paige, your perfect example, a point person of why not have maybe a pre-show, kind of like a hip hop concert, something that we could do before the game or after the game will be killer, and the students would, you talk about a whole bunch of students would show up, little things like that. They can talk about financials all they want to, but that's how, the old thing, you got to spend a little money to make a little money. Nobody's saying we're going to try to get somebody that's $1 million concert that we can't afford. I'm just saying little things like that maybe would do that. Plus, I was reading an article today about Shasheskyville. I've said a long time, you had some great ideas, Pays, about the drinking the piece of pizza.
Yeah.
Broke college kid. Yeah. A slice of pizza sounds good when you're broke. So.
Oh, absolutely. Slice pizza will save your life. It'll save your life on a Thursday night.
But I mean, why not the administration? We have tents set up for some of like, Houston coming to town, Memphis coming to town. You camp out, for the tickets. Make it like an event. That's what we used to have, we used to make it an event, a party, like atmosphere. Obviously the game is very important, but some of these, no offense, because I know where but some of these promotions, we've been doing these same promotions year after year after year. Let's come up with different promotions. And I'm not trying to pick on people. I'm just saying that's what you were talking about that. But when you're in an in-game atmosphere, we got to come up with more excitement, and that's how I think that would add. Bubba and I talk about all the time. Josh was talking about, we got to get fans to Minji's for next Saturday's game. That's going to be a huge game. He's
me and
right
my dad
about that.
are coming. Me and my dad are coming down next Saturday.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
He said Josh says, and he's right. We got to pack Minji's next Saturday. That's going to be a huge game. But a game like that, right? You have giveaways. We could give away, who knows, college kids love AirPods, like they did for the Halloween game. You remember that for football? They gave away a whole bunch of tuition free. I wish they would do stuff like that. Maybe it has to be on a smaller scale for basketball, but stuff like that was really, I thought the administration did a great job on that football game. Bubba.
And the thing is, Dave, for basketball, you're trying to get 1,500 to 2,000 there. If you get more, great. But if you can get a consistent 1,500 to 2,000 students for basketball, like I'm trying to remember if it was Old Dominion or there was one of those home games where we had, it was actually, maybe it was Gardner Webb. It was a little bit later on, closer to Christmas break, but we had a little over 1,000 students and there's no reason that can't be consistently done. And there have been, in fairness, some good promotions here in the last few years. You remember the beach towel giveaway
Yeah,
there in February, right before students are getting ready to go on spring break. So things like that, the vintage coasters with the script pirates and the old pirate head from the 70s, those were good giveaways. But I definitely agree with you guys, and that's something that you've heard former head coaches like Mike Steele and Matt McCarthy talk about on Pirate Radio over the years in terms of being creative and just thinking outside of the box, like Paige mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, the target, that 25 to 45 crowd is you got to figure a way to get those folks in there consistently. Like the old school alumni, people that have been following Pirate, they're going to stay. They're going to come to those games regardless if they're one. I mean,
you're right.
that crowd's going to come. But that 25 to 45 age range, number one is a money spending range. Number two is they are what I consider influencers. They influence a lot of stuff. So you got to start to do that. These big games, do a pregame concert, or NBA teams who are struggling with attendance, they started to bring in halftime people. We talk about Rob Bass. I saw Rob Bass doing a Washington Wizards game the other day at halftime. He just went and performed a record at halftime.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We have to, and I go back to this with anything that we do, to grab the casual fan in anything that we're doing now. You have to think outside the box just from the game. You have to have, I mean, this is an extreme thing, but Jacksonville Jaguars was having problems getting people in the game. What they do, they put a pool and a bar up on the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the stuff. And I'm not saying we got to put a pool in a bar, but we have to think outside the box to get the casual fan into the games, whether that's some kind of drink special or a halftime beer garden or whatever it is. That's where you've got to take advantage of that. So yeah, giveaways, kid. Listen, my daughter didn't want to go get the booster shot. She's 6 years old. CVS, you know what CVS did? They gave Poppets. Poppets Poppets are the biggest kid thing in America right now. As soon as we pulled up and they said, "Hey, we're going to give you a Poppet to get your shot," she rolled that sleeve up like, "Yeah, right here." So, like, we have to use whatever's trendy at the time. We need to use some of that stuff inside of our marketing. I think sometimes, and this is no disrespect to Ryan Robinson or anybody over there, but I think we sometimes have to put ourselves in other people's shoes and think outside the box. We can't stay right here. We got to think, what does a 25-year-old want? What does a woman want? What does a minority want? What does our core? And it's got to be a good balance, because you're not going to grow it until you do that.
And Paige, I tell you what, baseball in particular, but there's a community, the Latino community is so passionate about a lot, including with sports. And I don't think we've done a good job. And I'm just being honest and real. Latino community growing and growing like it has over the last 20 years here in North Carolina, for example. But just think about how many people we're missing out on. I would like to see some outreach there in that community, not only them, everybody, but I'm just saying that's a population that we're not even, you don't see. I don't think I've ever seen a Latino there at a basketball game that I can think of.
Cornelia Church in Greenville, Bishop Rosie O'Neill in Greenville. They have 1,500 to 2,000 people on a Sunday over there.
Yeah.
Do a Cornelia night.
Do
a Cornelia night at the basketball game. I mean, that's just one. There's other churches. There's other things there that when you think there's going to be some trouble, maybe you not have enough fans there or whatever, but there's things that you can do. I like Josh's comments there. I think that, I definitely think that $10 lowering the ticket prices, having some $10 tickets, having more of the combo deals, 2 tickets, 2 hot dogs, 2 drinks, 2 popcorns for, as a family, having those things. We just got to think outside the box. We can't just open the doors and think we're going to spend money in advertising, and you just can't do that, man. We're in an age right now where digital is, we can watch the games all the time. We don't have to go to the games. It's not, me and Dave was talking in agreement. It's not like when we were school in the 90s, it was home team sports, and it was like 4 or 5. Yeah, it was like four or 5 games, if you were lucky. I remember ESPN2 came out like sophomore year. Craig Kilborn was the color guy.
I remember that game. Wasn't that Old Dominion that was on ESPN2?
Yeah. I mean, that was
back
like,
when they had Odell Hodge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was like Craig Kilborn there. I mean, that was like,
that was huge.
That was like big time. Yeah,
I forgot all about that, Pace.
Yeah, like that. When we were thinking, but we've got to get credit. We have to think outside the box when it comes to this stuff, man. And there's got to be a commitment there. I think they've made a commitment in certain aspects to the football there. But we talk about, Bubba did a good thing this week of getting a video out about, trying to get members of the Pirate Club. Creative stuff like that, and getting people to these games, showing them a good time. Hey, man, I've been a DJ for 25 years, and I've had club gigs. You know why I let the ladies in free till midnight? Because I know if I let the women in free, the guys will be there. Okay, so that's the stuff we got to think of. Okay, let's do something to get the people, give them the experience, and they'll come back. They'll come back. They'll eventually come back, but you got to get them in. You can't just try to kill them. You can't try to knock them over the head at first and then want them to come back. Give a church 300 free tickets and say, here, bring everybody to the game. You know what I'm saying?
Like today, I mean, not today, but the last game, you could literally, Paige, Bubba and I were talking about this. You could literally do like this 1, 2, 3. There was so many. I mean, you make a great point, because guess what? It's like a loss leader. If you bring those people in, you can sell like maybe concessions, and then maybe somebody buys a sweatshirt. Anything's better, but at least get them there. That's one thing. We're creatures of habit, If you get in the habit of there.
Absolutely, Josh. Ladies in free till 7:30. but like doing things like that, because that's the casual fan. Now there's ladies that love basketball is going to come and watch it all the time, but the casual fan, make it cool to be a date night at a ECU basketball game.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Offer something before. I know they offer it for the Pirate Club and the the upper donors. They have the room and stuff over there. Listen, those guys are going to come regardless. Okay, those guys are going to be there regardless. The average fan, we need to offer something for the average fan to come. If it's a beer garden before the game with some entertainment, if it is whatever,
I got an idea.
You got to hook them in.
So pretty much, guys, I mean, we obviously, sorry, Dave, we don't have the funds of a minor league baseball team, but, we need to think outside the box. And granted, the product is getting better, but it's not there yet. And clearly the fan support isn't on board. So we have to do things kind of like a minor league baseball team to do everything to make it fun to be in an East Carolina basketball game.
Hey, Paige, I love those practice. Speaking of the practice facility for men's and women's basketball, you could do a really cool like tailgate before the game where we have B-Pace playing. Yeah, like maybe you have some hip hop artists, something cool before the game or after. Like I said, after the game, you could have a huge event where people, you have to stay to after the game to be able to see the, whatever it is. If it's a 7:00 game, you could do something at 9, or if it's definitely a weekend kind of thing. But I would like those kind of things, like you said, Pace. It's just like, I don't care what. Look, I'm not like, it's not like I'm trying to make money off of my university. I just want to see something, different and support for the basketball program.
Like the Memphis, what time's the Memphis game on? What time?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. At 2 o'clock or at 1 o'clock, they need to have, and I know we're in a COVID situation. We got to be careful with the thing, but at 1 o'clock or so, they need to have something over in the parking lot for them students.
Yep.
Because once you get them over there and you feed them, give them some drinks or whatever, get them tickets in the game, they'll be ready to roll. I mean,
Yeah.
have something in the parking lot for them. I mean, do something to bring those folks in, and then do something. Listen, I've been doing this long enough to know you can get stuff paid for. Listen, there's
Oh, yeah.
sponsors you can go get, but the problem we have in East Carolina, and I've been saying this for 5-6 years, we keep going back to the same well every time, and at some point there's not going to be any water in that well, and we got to get some diversity, and we've got to get some new ideas to attract the audience, because God bless the folks that have been given for 50, 60 years, but at some point they're going to not be here anymore. And you have to have a plan to get these folks, this younger audience who thinks differently now. They think differently. Listen, I'm in radio. I look at research every day. And I can tell you, this new generation, they take media and things in differently than we do.
Correct.
And they like they like the we talk about the athletes like in the uniforms, they got 6 or 7, they like we have Adidas as a sponsor. Man, we should do an old school Adidas jumpsuit night or something. Like, we have the biggest shoe ever in the culture right now is an Adidas, the Yeezy, the Kanye West Yeezy is the biggest shoe in the court besides Air Jordan. Let's do something with it. Let's buy a pair of Yeezys and have the students come in for a drawing, and at the end of the night, give a pair of Yeezys.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I know with Run DMC, are they still touring?
Yeah, and you have the run. Yeah, I mean, I did the Run ECU shirts about 10 years ago. I don't know if you ever saw that. They said Run ECU.
I did. I'm trying to remember if it was. I saw Domain Duckett, or some of those guys wearing the Run ECU shirts.
Yeah, we had to run it. I mean,
and John Noonan.
I sold about 400 shirts, and I tried to get them in UBE, but they, you know how that goes. But it was like people loved those shirts, and it was black folks, white folks, women. We had women tees. We had that's the stuff we got to use. We've got to use our advantage of the relationships that we already have built. Let's use those relationships. Let's spark. I just don't think I think sometimes we just don't think outside the box. And like I said, that's no disrespect to those guys. Everybody's got a job to do, and I'm not sitting over there in Ward, so I don't know. I don't know what some of their deficiencies are or what they go up against. I know sometimes it's a budgetary thing. I get it. But can we just can we start to not just look here and start to grow, because it's a downhill slide, because if that grows, the Pirate Club grows.
And like you're saying, Pays, a university of our size, I know my dad, for instance, but I'm sure there's countless others that are probably in the promotional items business in some way, shape, or form. And sure, those people have to make money, but gifts in kind and those sorts of things. Working with them for giveaways, whether they're complimentary for Pirate Club credit, or at a reduced rate where they're getting them at a relatively low cost. And you have Craig chimed in here on Facebook with an excellent point, saying generally it's families of 3, 4, and 5 that are getting there, so you really have to look at prices times 4 if you're thinking about families attending sporting events. As it gets higher, it's harder for parents to justify versus other entertainment options, and that's definitely true.
Every kid at East Carolina under the age of 12 should get in free. I'm telling you.
Now, Dave, I'm trying to remember when
the age of 12 they should get in free.
When I went to the Southern Miss, game, I was at the ticket office for just a moment, and there may be a children's ticket available, but if not, then there should definitely be a children's ticket available for $4 or $5. If not, to what B-Pace just suggested.
Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing for me, Paige, just like Richard, you and Bubba are talking about, is the very fact of we've got to find ways to get. This is what I'm coming here. Here's what I'm coming from, and I failed to mention just a little bit ago. Is the very fact that we need to get butts and seats, correct? And guess what?
Oh, absolutely.
When you get butts and seats, we're talking about 50-50 games. We're trying to build this program. And today was a perfect example, even though it was in Philly at Temple. When we have these 50-50 games, like Dooley's built this program so far, that crowd at Minji's, man, when you get a crowd there, it's one of the loudest venues I've ever been to in my life. Bubba and I, we've talked about that many times. If we can get these fans, and then we're talking about creatures of habit. Johnny has a comment here. I drove from Virginia through the remnants of a blizzard on Wednesday to see the Pirates play. I was in section 113, and the fans sitting around me were very vocal and involved. If more fans like that would show up in numbers, Minji's will be a very tough place for opponents to visit. Amen, brother Johnny. Absolutely. That place is built for. It's so loud in there when you get a crowd, and it doesn't have to be like a faux like NC State. It could be whatever team, non-conference, conference game. And another thing, guys, is that the thing that frustrates me is for football, it's so difficult to get 51,000, right? We only need 3,000, 4,000, even if it was half full. That place is electric, even when it's not even at 50% capacity.
And you have to, if you show the excitement, people will know. You know, there's an old school, if you promote clubs, there's an old school rule that you hold the line outside. You hold the line. And what that means is when people are driving by the venue and they see a line outside, and there only could be about 50 people inside, but if they hold the line, oh man, that place is about to be packed. And you hold the line. You don't let everybody in at one time.
Right.
What my preface is, let's do a couple games, do $5 tickets or do kids in free, pack the place, let people see what it can be, and they'll be excited about getting in there.
Right.
And it's as easy as that, because those seats are going to be empty regardless. If they're not by, they're going to be empty regardless. So why not do something to put people in those seats, show what it can be, use social media, use pictures, use Twitter, put it on TikTok, put it on Snapchat, and show everything that is going on with that. And then when an average casual fan is going through their TikTok and they're like, the music's blasting, the kids are dancing, people are oh, I got to go to this game. But you're not going to get them in there if you don't give them anything that, sometimes you got to, I've always been told it, sometimes you got to bite the bullet to win in the end. And we need to be able to do that, especially with basketball. Baseball is self-service, fine. Football will keep growing. It is what it is. But basketball, we got a lot of work to do when it comes to marketing and getting folks in those games. And we need to use every community organization there is and give it to them until we don't have to give it to them anymore.
Right.
With the Boys and Girls Club. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say, and Paige, you were talking about churches. What about something like the Boys and Girls Club? How they are awesome to my two kids and the Coastal Plains.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could have a day where you have, those games, just like Bubba, with the Southern Miss, when they had that noon game and it's nobody there, you could have like a lot of organizations that game, because if not, that was a game. In my opinion, I think that was a huge mistake to have a noon game. That was December 21st, but we lost a lot of money that day for having a game just to help Southern Miss out. No disrespect to the Golden Eagles, but I was good for Bubba and the crowd that's a few hours away. I get it, but as far as for us that I was able to go to that game. But as far as for money wise, why not have it a late afternoon game?
But I'd have been there if it was 7 o'clock as well. So that didn't change anything as far as. But yes, it did make it easier. But
I'm just saying that you're hurting yourself by doing these crazy. I mean, understandably, there's if that's December 23rd, something like that, we could totally understand. But it was December 21st, and I don't want to get in a contest about be nitpicky. I just thought that was to me. it's like we don't care about basketball. That's the way I took it. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I have a chip on my shoulder because I'm a huge college basketball fan, and I think that our basketball program has a lot of potential. I think the women's program, Kim McNeil, is doing a great job. I think they have a lot of potential, but I know that football is the marquee sport. I get it, but I don't think it would. The sad thing, Pays, I don't think it would take much, and this program could turn around for that stuff. Little stuff like that can make all the difference.
And you're in a region where basketball matters.
Right. It's not
Kinston, it
hockey, right?
matters in Farmville. It matters in Kinston. It matters in Little Washington. You're in a region, and then you got, like, I live in Wendell, like the eastern part of Wake County. There is so many alumni out here in Zebulon, Wendell, Nightdale, that corridor that, it's not at hard. It's an hour for me to go, to Greenville. So, we have to, like I said, we have to start thinking outside of, of the box on that to get these folks in. We got to make it important for the Kinston and the Williamston and Little Washington and Farmville and and Rocky Mount.
Yeah.
Let's get folks. Let's get folks into these games. Let's do company nights. Let's do things like that to get these folks into the game. I mean, we're not Carolina basketball, and we're never going to be. But my wife is a UNC alumni, and the stuff that they send her on an email to get people into basketball games, even on a daily basis, is ridiculous. Like,
what do they do?
I mean, even when, like, if it's an ACC game, they're offering like $10 tickets for some ACC game. If you sign up, if you're with the Alumni Association, or if you're with the the Black Alumni, the bar, what they call it. We need to get former players doing stuff. I mean, have we reached out to Miguel Paul or Maurice Kemp or any of the '90s guys to do some PSAs? Just things like that.
Green Central head coach Blue Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, you got
Hello.
And I'm sure Blue still got some contacts. I mean, there's things like that. Get some of the high school pep bands in there to perform.
How about what Mac McCarthy did when he brought in Charles Barkley and then also Dennis Haskins, Mr. Belding.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's that's stuff that is easy to do. But when we have a Saturday game like this one coming up Saturday at 4:00, a Memphis team, there's Penny Hardaway, there's
Larry Brown on that team.
Larry Brown, Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd do something like do something targeted. Since Penny's come in, do a promotion like a Blue Chips promotion or something. Like, do something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna give you 2 Blue Chips for a hot dog and a drink if you buy a regular ticket. It's just it's just stuff like that we can do. It's just stuff like that I think that we miss. And being in marketing, you have to understand the culture and understand. You have to think outside the box and understand what you're. What's the folks that you're missing? What will bring them into the building? And I'm telling you, man, these events have become social. They've become social events. These are not just people. There's right. Hardcore folks that are just going to come and watch a basketball game because they love basketball. I love basketball. I'm going to come with my dad, and we're going to come watch the game. My dad's going to yell at the refs, and he's going to ask why the guard's not penetrating, kicking it out to the wing. And that's my dad, though. My dad was a basketball coach, so that's what it is. But the 30-year-old nurse that works over at Vidant, who's had a hard day and wants to come and have a good time when she gets off work, do an after work social before the game.
Exactly. Like I was talking about, we've got the beautiful practice facility with the Hall of Fame right there.
Mm-hmm.
You got the perfect place right there. You bring those people in, and I'm telling you what, we're creatures of habit. If you get those people in, and with the product that Dooley has, and by the way, guys, I know we've got off topic with the game, but Dooley promised us when he took the job, we have to put an exciting brand of basketball on the court. Those guys, I'm telling you, this team this year, I was telling my parents watching the game with me this afternoon, this is one of the most exciting basketball teams I've seen at ECU in a long, long time. I love the style of basketball. No offense to Jaden Gardner, but I thought we put so much emphasis on Gardner. But now we have a situation where it's a team and it's excited. It's very exciting right now.
Yeah. I mean, especially these weeknight games. I know Saturday games and Sunday games can be a little bit more. I mean, right there. I mean, let's bring Blackstreet in and sing No Diggity, because No Diggity. I mean, Penny Hardaway, the Bible Penny Hardaway doll was in No Diggity. I mean, that, that's probably me thinking, a little crazy, but that is just stuff that we've got to do, especially these weekday games. Like, hey, Pirate Happy Hour from 5 to 7.
There you
Free
go.
hors d'oeuvres and $2 beers, and wherever we want to do that. Free wings and $2 beers. Get them in there. Get them over to the game.
Once you get them in that, and once you get them that halftime, that pregame party, tailgate, whatever you want to call it, once you get them there, they're not going to leave. They're not going to leave. They're not going to come there and then just get, once you get them there to the gym, they're going to stay there at Williams Arena.
Yeah, I mean, a Tuesday night game, let's do Taco Tuesday nights. All right, Taco Tuesday. Come on in. It's $2 taco or $1 tacos and $1 drinks. $2 Taco Tuesday we're playing, whoever. We're playing Cincinnati, or we're playing, UCF or something like that. Like, that's the stuff.
UCF they would always, when they had Taco Fall, they always had
Oh yeah,
Taco
yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah,
right, Taco Fall, yeah.
yeah.
I like what John Gass had to say, former baseball great. Make it fun, like at halftime events, stuff minor leagues have done to make it so popular. A little harder at basketball games, but imaginative minds can make it happen. You're right, John. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for all you did for Pirate Baseball. He's right. I mean, that's a guy from Major League Two. I know we've had him on the show, but that's the thing right there that's missing is stuff that, just like you said, a lot is out of the box. And when you do the same thing, it's like the definition of insanity. We're doing the same thing, but we're expecting different results. And when we have, like you said, when I was talking about the Latino community, the African American community, there's all kinds of things that look at
that. I do. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready, Craig. I'm gonna give him 16 bars, tell him how to do this right.
But there's no doubt there's, like when we had at homecoming, when you have like some Parmalee, when they did the halftime show, and they did a pregame, they did a great performance there at the Pirate Club level. I mean, those guys are all alums of East Carolina. They grew up down the road from me. And they bleed purple and gold. And when you have stuff like connections like that, and those are the country side of things. And of course, when they were in Greenville, they were more of a rock band, but that's a whole nother show, as they say. But you've got, people like Parmalee, you've got a lot of hip hop artists, you got different genres of music that you can do, that way we can definitely attract the different walks of life.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have the Adidas connection. I mean, listen, we can get Adidas stuff. When I was DJing during the Mo era, I was DJing football stuff. I got one right here. I got so much. The Adidas rep sent me so much stuff. I mean, I got 10 sweats. Yeah, I mean, I got sweatshirts, pullovers. The Adidas, work your Adidas rep. Like, we've got, we need to, I'm sure we could get 1,000, first 1,000 people get an old school Adidas, ECU Adidas, shirt with the old school logo and put the ECU on it. Do things like that. People are not just going to come. I mean, this is just not an ECU problem. This
Right.
is a worldwide problem. Like, there's so much other stuff that's grabbing people's attention. You have to do different things to bring people into the fold. And we have to get creative when you do those things.
And
Like,
why don't we?
I mean, give away gas cards. Give away. I mean, listen, I got a lot. I've been in radio for 25 years. I got a
You like
lineup.
me?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lineup of stuff I've gotten to get listeners. Okay, I mean, I've done everything from gas cards to lottery tickets to whatever. But we have to be able to really concentrate on that. And once you do it right a couple times, the way we're set up social media wise and digital, it's going to go. It's going to go. So I just think that,
To your
I
point,
don't know.
Pays, targeting the students. Sup Dogs is such a
Oh my God.
huge deal. Partner with Sup Dogs, to give away whatever you can work out a deal for, something like that, and then the other top places that students frequent in G Vegas.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you just use your partners. I mean, use your Tulsa go. I mean, we play at Tulsa. I get ready. No, Tulsa comes on February 26th at 4:00. The Hurricanes. Do something, since we're bringing the Hurricanes in. Do something that is around that. Like, have a happy hour with Hurricanes.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say. I don't know I don't know about ABC laws, but it seemed like that we could put something there, and like I said, I don't know if you can have a cash. I assume you could have a cash bar there at the practice facility, but get people used to coming there. Like you said, the happy hour, having food, any kind of entertainment, have different kinds of entertainment. There's all kinds of things. And the students, I really believe the students, we're not doing as good a job to reach it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
No, we're not. Listen,
we could do a whole bunch of stuff to get the kids there.
I've got some friends I went to college with, and friends I went to high school with, whose daughters and sons are in East Carolina right now. I have no clue about basketball. There's nothing. Now, I will say this: Joe has to step up on that side.
Kind of like Bill Herring did.
Bill Herring was awesome at
to be a mark. Yeah. Cliff is done on the baseball side with the Cliff cab or whatever.
Yeah, Cliff's cab's awesome.
Yeah. But Joe, and I know Joe's a old school basketball guy. I mean, this is the way he lives and breathes. But if you're wanting to expand it, and we all love Coach Logan, right? We all love Coach Logan. But the thing that got Coach at the end was the world was changing.
He didn't change with it.
And he didn't want to have to do those Pirate Club events. He didn't have to do all those social events. He didn't want to have to get out and do that stuff. God bless Ruff. Ruff did a tremendous job with that. Ruff was at everything. That's where we've got to be different. And Joe, if he's wanting to grow the program, he's the president and CEO of the basketball program. And at the end of the day, if you're the president and CEO of a company,
right,
marketing falls under you. And you've got to be able to market the program. Joe's not active on social media. I mean, you don't have to do Will Healy at Charlotte and do club. What do you have? Club Lit. But that was brilliant because it put Charlotte football on the radars and folks that had no clue about it. So I'm not telling Joe to go jump up and down and play some EDM music, in the locker room or something. But what I'm saying
Take
is
his
Joe.
head off, Petey Pablo.
Yeah. I mean, there's a perfect example of somebody he's from Greenville.
Right.
He would come down and do something. I mean, those are perfect examples of things that you could do. I mean, Brett does it at Sub Dolls when he does the spring concert. I mean, I do it at ECU homecoming. I do Friday and Saturday night events. We pre-COVID, we sold out every Friday and Saturday night. I had everybody there from Chris Johnson to, I had every alumni football player, in there, but we marketed and sold it that way. And so I think we've just got to do a better job of that. And I think Joe has got to step up on the marketing and social media side because he's the face of the program. He's the face
that will be the
program.
And not only that pace, but when we talk about our event, for the kickoff to basketball, that could be our fun. We need a fundraiser for basketball too. I don't think, do we do one? I can't think of one off the top of my head. With the baseball, unfortunately, I didn't get my baseball banquet tickets fast enough. They sold out very quickly. And so that's the thing. Why don't we have something for basketball? Because there's a lot of basketball fans out there, and there are people that love ECU would go because it's an ECU event too. Maybe they don't even care about basketball.
And I see Mark there said maybe the social aspect is not Joe's makeup, and that's a fair point. But the program is not at a point where Joe cannot address the social media aspect. He's not Nick. Nick Saban doesn't have to be on. Nick Saban doesn't have to be on Twitter and social. He don't have to be. You know why? Because Nick Saban is a consistent winner every year, and they've already got sold out games. But when you are in a situation where you're trying to grow the program, you have to use every aspect to grow the program. And Joe's, and what's crazy is Joe's a cool dude. Like, he's a very likable guy. Like, and I said, when they first hired him, I was DJing an event out of Winslow's in Greenville, and he came out and hung out with somebody. I guess he was interviewing somebody, and they just came out and hung out, had a couple beer, and they were just eating or whatever. And Joe talked my head off that night. Like, you know what I'm saying? He talked my head off. Like, and he's very sociable
and very approachable.
And I see Mark said should have thought before he's hired. Well, if Joe is not that guy, then he's got to have somebody on that staff. And listen, as crazy as freaking Bruce Pearl is, and he does probably some shit. Some stuff that is not legal. The thing with Bruce is, there ain't no man going to market that program like Bruce. Bruce will take his shirt off and be in the Auburn, fan section with Cam Newton jumping up and down. I mean, he did it in Tennessee too. This wasn't new.
Can't you see Jay Billy in the boneyard with his chest painted purple?
Hey, I mean, tell Joe whatever it is we got to get done.
And Paige, you were talking about I'm sorry, I was just going to say, you were talking about social media. I mean, if you look at between all the great students we have, when you could have a street team, you and I are radio guys, you can have students that would help you. You have, you can hire somebody to be your social media person, kind of like when you want to write a book and you have a ghostwriter because you don't know how to write a book. Do the same thing for social media because
and ECU football does a hell of a job on social media.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we have that same thing with basketball?
Exactly.
That's what I don't. And this goes back to commitment. So if you're going to do the same thing for football, and we know football drives the bus. They in the front seat. We get it. But if you're going to do it for football and you want your basketball program, then you better get a person that's either a social media as good as the person in football, or have the person at football do that one too. Because whoever's doing that, they're doing a hell of a job, So you got to be able to, promote the program. We're in a basketball starved state. We've got our graphics are good. We've got a great logo. I mean, we got good uniform. I mean, we've got it all there, but it's just like basketball's an afterthought sometimes, and I just don't. And I get it on the winning side, but you got to change your mindset. I took over a radio station one time. I had a .5 rating,
Oh wow,
0.5,
a point
point
five. Wow,
0.5, which is terrible.
it's awful.
And they had struggled for 4 or 5 years, and I came in and changed the mindset. They felt like they were losers, like they felt like they were losing. And Mark Calloway had a good point. Like they said, everybody has as a customer. Yeah, and that's what I told my staff. Everybody's a customer. We have to present ourselves in the public differently, and we have to work twice as hard than anybody else. If NC State is working at 90%, we got to work at 130. And we got to do everything. We got to do everything that we can. And I just think that I just think we have an opportunity there. And I'm not telling Joe he's got to change himself. What I'm telling Joe is if you want the program to grow, there's certain things you're going to have to do that you're not doing right now and not off the basketball court.
Yeah, like you said, and obviously the Pirate Club Armadas are part of his contract and part of where he gets a large sum of his money. But at the same time, Coach was very approachable. And when I've spoken to him, my dad and I spoke to him down in Charlotte a couple years ago, last time we had the Armada.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with his personality at all. That's not the.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I mean, you're right, Dave. I mean, Joe's a nice guy. I got a picture of Joe the day I graduated college. Joe's on crutches. I've got it up in my Joe's on crutches because he had knee surgery in '97. He took a picture with me and my mom and dad the day I graduated college in my cap and gown. Yeah, like Joe's I've known Joe since 1992 when I came in for my summer visit before I started college in the fall. And Joe and them were recruiting a friend of mine that played at James Madison named Ryan Colasurto that I had grew up with. And that ended up playing at James Madison. But him and Marty McGillian, they were trying to get me to get Ryan to come to East Carolina. And Eddie Payne. Say it again.
I just said Ryan Colasurto. He was like Kent Kaluko a couple times against us. He absolutely killed us.
Oh yeah, Ryan, absolutely. Ryan lives in Virginia Beach. Him and Lefty Drizel are actually neighbors. They live in the same neighborhood in Virginia Beach. Him and Lefty.
Oh wow.
But
I'm a huge Lefty fan. Oh man.
Oh yeah. No, but that's like we have to. Joe's a great coach. It's just that to grow the program, and if they promise him some stuff, it's not happening, then they need to make that happen now. If they promised him some things that is not there, and this is the only thing concerns me about John Gilbert is, had a year at Southern Miss, and he was at Tennessee under Hart. And Tennessee was at a point too at one point where they were they had to rebirth their basketball program with Pearl. I mean, the only thing I knew about Tennessee basketball was the women's side. On the men's side, yeah, and they had Allen Houston at one time. That was like the person I remember. But I need John to understand that basketball needs to be important at East Carolina.
Yeah, if we want to, everybody's talking about Power 5. Well, the biggest football fans should be basketball fans because nobody would take us if our basketball program is terrible, unless we were winning 11 and 12 games every year, maybe they would. But that's honestly how we get to quote, I hate that term, Power 5. Our basketball program has got to be top notch. That's the one. When you look at football, it's going to be fine. Like you said, baseball, we're ranked. One poll has us number 8 in the country. Perfect Game has us 13th. We're fine, and a lot of the Olympic sports are doing well when you look at track and field, different ones. So it just comes down really to men's basketball. That's we need to put love into it.
And it even comes down to a concession thing. Like baseball has the best concessions out of anybody. I can get a steak sandwich at the baseball game. Basketball, like we need to have different
basketball. We have stale popcorn.
Yeah, and that goes to just the commitment side. Like, I mean, that goes, it's like, you know, I just don't understand it. And I know it's frustrating for Joe too, probably, that some of this stuff is, and Joe's a basketball and he's worried about the product. Well, Joe's improving the product. We just got to improve everything, everything around it. So,
and pays their people on staff that's their. I mean, I know like that's their job. You know what I'm saying? Like to do the stuff that's off the court. And so, in Dooley's defense, maybe that's some of the stuff. But I would just simply say there's so many students out there that would kill for the opportunity. You know that when we were there in the '90s, man, I wanted to be on that station so bad, WZMB, Zombie Radio. I wanted to be on that so bad. There are a lot of kids right now. Social media is so huge, and they could take that for their resume and say, "Hey, I helped Joe Dooley rebrand basketball. We did this. We did this. We did this."
absolutely.
That helps them get a job, basically outside of college.
I
So,
was gonna I was gonna look and see. Let me see how many
And
followers.
Dave, I was only half serious about the popcorn comment. I was kind of joking, but at the same time, the point Paige makes is definitely true as far as comparing it to baseball concessions. And you look at it, guys. A lot of times, there's so many of the concessions in Minji's that aren't even open.
hey, I tell you another
And
thing.
I understand the university's predicament there as far as
So,
workers and money and etc. But man, that's embarrassing too, to have a smaller arena, one that has so much potential, but at the same time you go in, and what kind of impression does that send when you see concessions closed and you have one or two concessions open, and then you have people from the upper part of Minji's having to run down the steps of the lower
Yeah.
level to get. And I know that because my dad we had our nephew and my son Riley with us a couple years ago when we either upset Cincinnati or somebody else, maybe SMU, and we had to go down to the lower level concession stand to get our son
I
a
remember
slice of
that.
pizza,
I remember
a
that. Yeah.
slice of pizza.
So ECU basketball has 6,000 followers on Instagram. Baseball has 24,000.
Right. There,
I
there you
mean,
go.
yeah. I mean, that's. I don't know what I was going to see what what the football has 40,000. So 6,000 followers. I mean, that should minimally be
Yeah.
a 10,000 followers. Like, and you got to do stuff on Instagram to these kids, man. I mean, hey, follow us on Instagram, give you a chance to win 2 tickets. We'll send you out to dinner for one night and a East Carolina Adidas sweatshirt. Just follow us on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. There's all kinds of things you could do when you're talking about that chance to win tickets. You have that going back. You were talking about the pizza. You can have different kind of. I'd say another thing, guys, that's huge is food trucks. Maybe we could have a food truck rodeo in the parking lot or somewhere. Have people eat there, then come to the game. How about Villa Verde? Jay with Villa Verde. They have like I know Parker's Barbecue. There's different ones that they're inside the stadium now. Why not do the same thing for basketball? There are a lot of us that are, we love food and we're foodies, and we would love to have those options. Maybe have a way that we can get
Like you're
people to
saying,
come.
Dave, how many families go to a local Mexican restaurant because of Taco Tuesday, like Pay said earlier? So hey, now you get to come watch basketball and have Taco Tuesday, kill two birds with one stone. You partner with local Mexican restaurants and make it happen.
Bro, I'm telling you, order 2,000 poppets, ECU poppets, and bring the kid. Man, them parents will be out there with them kids like you wouldn't even know it.
You're right
Like
about that.
that's what I'm saying.
Your
We have to
PD
look at
Pop it.
PD Poppet with PD Pablo
There you
performing
go.
live. But you have to. That's what I don't think we do. We don't look at what's culturally happening with the audience that we overlook sometimes. We have to get in their shoes and understand what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and use that to create promotions. I mean, that's the thing that I think we continue to miss. And listen, Bubba, I say God bless Bubba for what he's trying to do for the Pirate Club, because I get frustrated with those jokers, and I've been frustrated with them for 5 or 6 years now, because I was on the Pitt County Executive Board at one time, and I had so many ideas that they just continued just to not do. And it's frustrating to me that there's 4,800 and some members,
Well,
and you've got over what's ECU got 200,000 alumni, something like that.
yeah. I mean, there's no
Yeah,
reason. It's not like
we're not
not
even at 10%.
well. The thing about pays is like when you have a private college, say like Duke, right? That doesn't have the alumni that we do because they only take, I think, 6,000 students a year, undergrads. I think it's all they have a year, and we have like
Mm-hmm.
30. We have like 30,000. So you could understand why their numbers are not going to be as high as ours, right? But I don't know what guys. I don't know what's in the Iron Dukes, but I would guess they're even higher than us. And that's sad to think about a small, not small when I say I know they have a lot of money, but a private college like Duke, and you have a public college like East Carolina that has way more. But that goes back to what we were saying with the Pirate Club. And I had an honest and real conversation with them recently. So it's not like I'm doing that. But the bottom line is we're not doing anything right now. It's like everybody just shows up with work, and I love them to death. I have nothing against them. I have no axe to grind, but it's like we show up to work and we're doing the same thing every single day. Same thing every single day. We're getting a paycheck. So as long as we're getting a paycheck, we're going to keep doing the same thing every single day. And they know how much I love them. I do. I'll do anything for my school. But it's frustrating when, for example, Kyle and I have talked about for years, Pays, about how for the Pirate Club, we should have events that are more like us, meaning there's nothing wrong with Armada, right? Nothing wrong with Armadas. But we could have different coaches like Kim McNeil will have a meet at Parker's Barbecue, or they're on campus. We could do something with Kim McNeil to get her program, or whatever the coach may be. We could have, where it's catered, it's only like $10 to go in. The Armadas and different things are great, a big event, but we could have smaller events there to help raise money, or at least get the word out about our programs, a single coach, maybe have a really cool speaker, famous person come in. You know how they have like in Raleigh with the sports clubs, like Durham, Raleigh, they have sports clubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have it something like that where we could have
Listen,
more of our people, where we could have to keep the excitement of the fan base up.
my dad graduated from West Virginia. That's where he went to school, WVU. And the Raleigh WVU chapter, they're off the chain. I mean, they have events they have something every week up here for them.
Wow.
I mean, it's bananas. Like, I take dad over to, they do they do Carolina Ale House over on Wake Forest, over on Falls of the Noose. And it's packed in there. Like, it's packed every golf. I mean, everything. My issue with the Pirate Club and growing is that if you go to a Pirate Club event and look at the scope of who is at the Pirate Club event, it does not represent the diversity of the university. And that's my biggest issue with the Pirate Club. And it's not about black folks, white folks. This is about women. This is about more than that. It doesn't represent the diversity of and that tells me, listen, I can name 15 football players that went to school with me in the 90s that has never gotten a call from the Pirate Club.
Thank you.
Ever. And they're not NFL guys, but some of these guys, one's a doctor. They have never gotten a call from the Pirate Club. And that is just mind-boggling to me that you've got folks that are in business doing, superb things, not in athletics, but that played there and are doing things, and you have not reached out to them because maybe they weren't an NFL guy. You're going to reach out to Chris Johnson me and Vontae's had this conversation millions of times. Like, and Vontae's always going to support his school. Vontae's a great guy. Leach is good guy. He's always going to support his school. But when you look at an event, and this is not, and I'm just telling you, when you go to a Pirate Club event, you tell me that's diversity. You tell me the diversity that's in that room. The Black Alumni Association at ECU has 3,500 members.
Wow.
3,500 members. Less than 2% are a Pirate Club member. So if I'm the Pirate Club and I know there's another campus organization that has 3,500 members, what do, Dave? I call them and say, let's do a co-event together and help each other out.
Yeah. And what about the actual alumni association too? I mean, I don't know how many members the alumni association has, but I'm a member of that. I'm sure you are. With Scott, with those guys, I don't know they made it more of a free model now, which I'm happy about, but I don't know how many. I'm a member of it, and I wonder how many members there that we could also. That's another organization we could tap into to get more people in the Pirate Club.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is we have got to. It's not going to grow, and that's just and that gets back to making sure everything is growing, because if we're not, then we're going to have, and I hate, and I know there's ECU fans that have their thoughts about UNC and I do at some point, but my wife is a Carolina graduate. So I've seen how they run their organizations. I've been to, alumni events, to different things, to they take care of everybody from the big boys to the guy that's putting $500 a year, and they offer him something. They all right there. The top Pirate, there's one here. They would better us at the bottom. They treat the same. And I'm telling you this. When I go to homecoming with my wife at UNC, it is a machine. It is a machine. I walked into homecoming, and Rasheed Wallace is in there helping sign people up.
Wow.
It's a machine. And we've got to get to that point. We've got to get to that point. And until we start acting like, listen, you can have smoke and mirrors and make sure that you can make it look like what it needs to look like. We got to start acting like it. We don't act like it. First thing I do at Minji's is rip them damn purple seats the hell out. That's the first thing I do. If I ever did a renovation, I rip the damn things out.
The purple seats are guarded like Fort Knox.
Yeah, it's like I don't care about them purple seats. You see what Clemson did when they redid their arena? They ripped all the shit out, and they just made purple seats. They made orange seats for everybody, from the top all the way to the bottom. It's orange seats.
Yeah, that would look sharp if everything was purple.
Yeah, and it's like we have to do that. We've got to start treating. We got to start treating everybody and start to diversify this audience of East Carolina, because this place is the college, the university itself is becoming more diversified. But we're not matching that up to the Pirate Club or to anything that we're doing marketing wise. We're going to the same damn well all the time to get the water, man. And the water's going to dry the hell up. It's going to dry up. And we got to get out of that. And that's the biggest thing that frustrates me with East Carolina. And I love my school. I will fight for East Carolina on anything. I'll talk. People know me nationwide for doing radio stuff, blah, blah, blah. I got friends that are in other markets. They'll call me, a friend in California. I saw them Pirates playing today. They know me because everywhere I've ever done radio, and I always talk about my Pirates. But it frustrates me when we're not able to sink it in with these guys. You know, I just don't get what they don't see. I don't see it on all they have to do is go to a damn event and look. And it's
And,
it's sad.
and pay.
I just don't. And like I said, God bless Bubba. Bubba sent the video out with you, Don. I was like, Bubba, God Almighty! I almost reached through and gave you a hug for that damn video because I thought that was amazing. Like,
Man, Udon
I
knocked it
thought
out
that
the
was
park, didn't he?
amazing. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was amazing to do something like it. And I'm thinking in my mind, if Bubba can think to do this shit, how are we not able to? People that we're paying salaries to,
Right.
you know, my wife is in the non-traditional revenue business. Man, her whole life. That's all she does. She works for the food bank here in Raleigh, East and Central Food Bank. But she worked for March of Dimes before and Heart Association, American Cancer Society. She worked for them all. But they had to come to a point at some time. Me and Kendra talk, my wife Kendra talk about this all the time. They had to come to a point one time where they kept going back to the same damn donors all the time. And those donors, and you come to the point where you take care of those guys, but you just don't concentrate on them 100%.
Right.
You've got to grab new folks and think new. Some of these folks are just garnering a damn paycheck, man, and that
That's
pisses me off.
that's just what Elliot put
Yeah,
up there.
right there,
Yeah.
Elliot.
We
They're
call
just
those
grabbing,
people paid pirates. Resume
and I
builders,
don't
paid pirates.
and with nobody, with no disrespect to anyone that graduated from another school that works for us. I don't. People work at different schools that graduate other schools. That's fine. But you better have an East Carolina person in that building. Somebody that lived it, went through it, ate a cheesesteak at the galley, bowled at Mendenhall, walked downtown, rode the drunk bus back up to College Hill, burnt their hand on a piece of Alfredo's pizza at 2 a.m. in the morning.
There you go. Preach it. Preach it.
That is what they've got to have. You got to understand what we do and who we are as East Carolina Pirates. And if they don't understand that, then they need to get somebody in that building that understands that.
We need and the very fact of you're talking about the very fact. Let's look at all you're talking about the letter winners. We've got thousands and thousands. We've got people right now, just like you said, we've got people right now that could be reached out to. We think about you think about non-revenue sports and revenue sports that are never called on. You look at that. You look at there's like I told Kyle, guess how we got started. We are teachers college, right? So we have there's many women out there and some men that are teachers, right? So you could have a teacher's part auxiliary of the Pirate Club. There's all kinds of, we could spend hours and hours. There's many great pirates out there that have great ideas. And I think that's what bothers me is there are people getting a salary. And as long as they get a paycheck, it's never going to change. And no offense, I'm not, but that's frustrating to me. And they probably say, well, Dave, I'm working 12 and 4. If you're working 12 or 14 hours a day and you're in Ward Sports Mills Medicine Building, then, you hear the term all the time, the proof is in the pudding. Then show us what you're doing, show us what you're doing, because there's a lot of people out there. I was thinking about this last week at my job. I was walking down the hall and I said, if I can listen to my fellow teammates and what's going on with our operation, right, where I'm working, then why can't we have a listening party where people in the pirate athletics look, because Pace, I know there's state money, but look at the campus. Look at the campus on 10th Street. We're getting ready to have at the hospital, the Brody School of Medicine is getting ready to have a new, beautiful building. But when you look at our athletic department, it's the same. You and I were around. Ward was maybe 7 years old, 6 years old.
Yeah, Ward
when I
opened in
started.
1989.
Yeah, so it'd been there like 4 years when I started, but it's the same. We've got You know, the old saying goes, guys, you're not growing, you're dying. You were talking about the promotions pays, and I absolutely hated it. My kids did. But remember a few years ago with Baby Shark, I can't stand that. Drives me nuts. But
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
they're all
I got a 6-year-old. I went right through the Baby Shark. Yeah.
yeah. But there was like you could have had a Baby Shark night. There was all kinds of you were talking about change with the times, and made me think about that earlier. But I think the problem we have is nobody's willing. We are, but there's a lot of people there in the administration. They're not willing to look in the mirror and have honest conversations. I'm almost 49 years old. I can't say, oh yeah, I'm still look 21. I don't look the same anymore like you and I when we first met
Oh no,
many years ago.
My hairline tells me I'm not I just let it out as it will. But we've got to have somebody at the end of the day, we've got to have somebody that thinks, and I know this is cliche, but think like a pirate. Think about what we've been through and where we're at and start to grow. There's people in that athletic department that still thinks it's 1985. It's not 1985 anymore. This university has become more diverse. This university has gotten bigger. This university has a footprint nationwide. And if we don't start addressing that, and the people that we're hiring for these positions, then we're going to keep running up against the wall. It's not going to get any better. There's a Netflix show called Friday Night Lights. The two producers of that show are East Carolina graduates.
Yep, that's correct.
Otha Solomon and Bob Rose. And I saw them this summer. And we got into this conversation again. Have they ever been reached out to by the university?
I bet not.
Zero.
How about,
Zero.
well, hey, Pace, how about the fact that we have a guy by the name, I don't know, Mr. Beast? You know, there's all kinds of stuff we could do with him. Hell, he was giving out the fairgrounds. He was causing traffic jam back around Thanksgiving because he was giving all those turkeys and sweet potatoes away. I mean, the guy is a daggone genius here in my local town. Many people don't know there was a huge thing he did recently at the Ag Center. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a big stunt he did locally here in Williamston. But he's doing all kinds of cool stuff. That guy, you want to talk about a marketing genius?
Oh, absolutely.
Why can't we team up with him? I mean, he's a great.
No, absolutely. Or at least bring him in to. You remember in the movie Elf where they brought the small dude in to pick his brain about the with the book. Yeah. So they need to line Mr. Beast up in a room with the book in the conference room and find out what he's got in that book.
No doubt, because I'm sure that with his, with YouTube, with all the stuff we're doing now, you're talking about when you're talking about Coach Logan pre-cell phones. We have cell phones. We have all kinds of stuff now that we didn't have when cell phones. When I was growing up, there was bag phones, and they were charging 25 cents a minute. And when I wanted one here in Williamston, you had to do long distance. You had to call Greenville, and it was so expensive. I didn't have a cell phone until right after I graduated ECU. And Christmas of '95, that's what I got from Santa Claus was a cell phone.
Morgan Ehlers sold me my first cell phone at Southeastern Cellular, where the Adam and Eve store is. Used to be the liquor store. The ABC store is on Arlington. That's who sold me my first. That's the one Coach Logan used to lay into Charlie Carr back in '95. The flip phone that I had, the brick flip phone that I had back then. And that's what I'm saying. Like Greenville is, Greenville could be more diverse, but it's getting there. But we've just got so many alumni now that are doing great things that are not athletes. And I think sometimes the Pirate Club, how should I say this nicely without really, I don't want to, they think that if they're not a football player or they didn't go play in the NFL or blah, 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 that they're not reaching out to them. And I just don't understand that. Like, I just don't.
Well, how about all the baseball players? There's
even some of the basketball players that Othello Meadows, who's my lawyer, he does all my radio contracts. is huge in the city of Omaha.
Yeah,
He's a difference maker.
we ended up Hayes. We talked to him, and by the way, love you, Kyle, but he fell asleep on that show. He was
Oh
snoring in
yeah.
the background as O was talking, but it wasn't because of O. But anyway, whenever we go to Omaha, we ask O, we're gonna have a big, and you'll be there with us, Pace. We're gonna have a big party at a sports bar he was telling us about for the sports objective because he's that cool of a guy. And in fact, Bubba, that's another guy we want to have back on. Neil Punt. There's all kinds of great basketball guys that
Oh yeah,
care
yeah.
about university. We could go
I
on
mean,
and on and on.
you talk about the main Duckett. Talk about Scotty Robinson, who's now a police officer in the city of Salisbury, where he grew up. That's my hometown. That is doing great things in the community. Like we got to do it. We got to highlight these guys and use these guys to our advantage to help them promote the program and promote the alumni. I mean, it's just like I said, it gets frustrating to me that we just continue to drop the ball on some of this stuff, and it's just like they're not doing. It's like they're opening a book and they're going to page 5 and stopping, and they never get to page 15 or 20 to see what else is going on in the book.
Yeah.
It's
We
just
have
like
Sandra. How about Sandra Bullock? We have people chiming in about Vince McMahon, Norman Quick. Speaking of a great football player back in the day, Coach, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I mean, that's the thing is that we have just look at and I'm not tooting our own horn, but look how many former football players listen to our show, view our show that we've reached out to. Bubba's amazing. You know how he is, Pays. He's like a walking encyclopedia when it comes to ECU, and he's
absolutely.
done a hell of a job, and we've become close friends. But we've reached out to so many former players, and Bubba, I know you make a point to ask them how many. Let's ask Bubba this question: how many former players that you've talked to, Bubba, over the last 4 years have actually been contacted? I know you asked them by the Pirate Club.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have exact numbers, so that's something that Pays mentioned it earlier. Far too many, a lot more um, say I've not been reached out to at all. If I have been reached out to, if I'm talking about people that have been out for 20 and 30 years, and they're not being talked to at all, or maybe once or twice in that 20 or 30 years, it's unbelievable. And a lot of these former athletes, not just football players, but basketball, baseball, Olympic sports, they said thank you so much for what you guys are doing because we felt forgotten about. It's so simple, and you're always going to have people, that have a negative experience that do not give back, but you have so many more that do have positive experiences, but because, like Pays mentioned, because they're not a Jeff Blake, a Robert Jones, David Garrard, and God bless David Garrard for he and Mary giving back the way they have. Vontae Leach giving back, George Koontz giving back. George Koontz is awesome. And definitely loves the Pirates and does all he can to wave the Pirate flag, so to speak, up there in Wisconsin and wherever he goes. But yeah, far too many that have just been. I don't know what the right word is. Just not reached out to and not made to not made to feel important.
Look at Kevin Walker. Y'all got as an advertiser. I mean, Kevin's, geez. I mean, look at the success that he's had in the business that he's in. I mean, there is
right there, top of the screen for those viewing.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin. I've got to know Kevin the last 4 or 5 years when we do our alumni homecoming. Listen, Pirate Club could come to one of my alumni homecoming events that I do when I have 700 people in the building, and they're all alumni. At least 78% of them alumni, and they could rack the hell up. And I tried to do that with them 5-6 years ago, and they just don't want to think outside the box. I mean, we've got a ton of folks that are successful. I mean, I got there's a friend of mine named Gwendolyn Cooper. She's from Farmville. She She married Deke Cooper that played for Notre Dame, played in the NFL for a while. She's an East Carolina alumni, owns a lot of properties in Atlanta, does stuff with Warwick Dunn she does the stuff with him to build the houses.
Oh yeah.
For the thing. I mean, there's a great example of somebody that all they had to do is dig a little bit. She's a proud East Carolina graduate. I mean, the new police chief for Apex, North Carolina up here, his wife, Selena, ECU graduate, went to school with me, Selena Coleman.
Wow.
Very active, very active in the community up here. So there's definite things like that.
Let's have a military appreciation night for basketball. Same way we do for football.
Yeah.
Because it's with Minji's 7,500 people. I mean, you have a military appreciation night and get a lot of troops, former veterans and veterans.
Every veteran. We could do a game where every veteran gets in free, like they do at Golden Corral. Every veteran gets in free. Every member of the military, if you have a uniform with an ID or you have a former, let them get in free, because I'll tell you what, those people won't forget that kind of. The thing that's great about the military is you do stuff like that for them to show your honor and how much you appreciate them. Those are some more great point, Bubba. Those are some more great people that we love on the show. That those people, they don't forget, and they're loyal, man. They'll keep coming back. And that's exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They will. And that's when we get back to the thing Bubba and Dave, we were talking about earlier. All you got to do is get them in one time.
Right.
Y'all ever seen American Gangster, the movie with Denzel Washington?
Oh, yeah. Frank, what was his character?
The blue whatever he called his little pill, the blue thing. That's what he did. He gave him a good product one time, and they kept coming back. And that's the same thing we got to do. Like Blue Magic's what it was called. But we've got to show these folks a good. It's
purple magic pays.
Purple magic. And it's common sense. It's if anybody's been in any kind of business and you're starting up a business or you're in an entertainment business, and I've been lucky enough to be on the radio side, I've been a promoter, I've done, all this stuff. But sometimes you just have to give it to them for free and they'll come back. They will come back if you show them a good time. I mean, listen. One thing I would tell you, Troy and Jonathan at Pirate Radio did that was tremendous that they ever did was when they started throwing those free Pirate Radio parties. Because you know what it did? It brought all those people in, but they were able to garner relationships and get ad dollars from that.
All those ticket outlets because of sponsors.
And then you show people a good time. They came in, they drunk, they ate. They heard music, and then so when they went to hit them up next year to do some ads, they were, I had a good time at club party. Yeah, I'll have it. Listen, that was what. Listen, I DJ'd that thing 3 or 4 times. Like that thing, it was Troy and Jonathan. That thing was beautiful what they did because it knocked out. It did 2 things: helped the brand, but it also brought in people that didn't know about them. And that's what I'm saying. Bruh, what would it do if we did one game where we let everybody in for $5? It's not going to hurt us because you already got 4,000 seats that's not filled. And screw pissing off the season ticket holder. I don't care. Okay, I get it. You bought season tickets and now you mad that somebody's selling $5 tickets. Get over it. It's for the university.
Call it fan appreciation night, Pace.
Yeah, I mean, get over it. Take your egotistical hats off and put them to the side. Leave them at home, and then let these folks in for $5. Church folks, community organizations, local high school. Bro, we should have a Farmville Central night at East Carolina basketball.
Yeah, do that for a lot of the area schools.
We should have a Kinston night and invite all the good players from
Yeah, exactly.
Kinston to have a good time
Get
at
pays
the
to do
East
the
Carolina
pre-party.
basketball game.
Yeah, it just
I mean,
is
you got people like Phoenix Evans. Phoenix is a
tremendous.
proud Kinston grad. I mean, use the relationships you already got built in. I mean, use those relationships. Uh, and whoever made that comment earlier talking about they don't know how to talk, they only talk to the top, not the bottom. I mean, that is the summary. That is a great summarized comment of exactly what it is.
You can't,
Hey,
and that's the thing is
and
that we're
guys,
not taking.
sorry, Dave, but this goes along with what Paige just said as far as talking to the top, not the bottom. I was talking to a Pirate Club member this week. This person ranks in the top 5 to 600. They've been in the Pirate Club for 45 years since they graduated. They've been a season ticket holder in all three major sports. Uh, the three big sports, so to speak, that we sell. The season tickets for on the men's side of things. And with football, they've been a season ticket holder for right at 45 years. For basketball, men's basketball, the same thing. And then in baseball, right at 25 years. And they said they've probably heard from folks in Greenville about maybe 4 times in those 40 to 45 years.
The only person that I know over in that building that has garnered relationships and has tried to work on doing anything is big guy Matt Maloney.
Big guy's
He's
awesome.
he's
Big
the
guys
only
awesome.
person. Let me tell you something. He had an alumni football thing one time up in the spring game up in the club suites, and me and my dad was walking around. I didn't play football these times. My dad didn't either. Here comes big guy. Here, man, let's go pass. Go have a good time. That's big guy. I mean,
Well,
that is. But we, if we're gonna not have nobody in the seats already, and Dave, you made a good point. What's the it's not costing you to give those seats away when they can come spend money other places.
yeah,
It's like, and I just don't, I don't get that. And I don't get what they're, you know, I have,
That
listen,
that's something that Terry Holland did.
I rejoined the Pirate Club this year for the first time, and my dad did. And I've been out probably 3 or 4 years. And I went ahead and rejoined it this year because I felt like but I'm a new member that came back after 4 years. Have I been reached out to? Nobody welcomed me back. Nobody called me. Nobody said I didn't get a welcome back letter. Hey B, hey Brian,
Yeah, missed you, and great to have you back.
Yeah. It's
You rejoined because you love the Pirates.
bro. When
Not,
my wife and them lose a donor and then they come back, they send them a whole package.
yeah.
They do. They send them a whole deal.
I know, I'm laughing because I know it's true.
well, that's the thing that and that's the thing is that with our fan base, uh, you're stating facts, and the one thing that drives me crazy is everybody that knows me knows I'm not a UNC fan at all. But when you see somebody doing a good thing, then it doesn't mean that we're Tar Heel fans because we adopt some of the things. That would be like us, like if we want an indoor practice facility, if we go to Alabama or Clemson, it doesn't mean that we pull for the Crimson Tide or the Tigers. We're going to two of the biggest programs in the country on how they built their indoor practice facility, right? So if you see somebody doing a cool thing and it's a great idea, don't just discount it and say, oh, well, it's the Tar Heels, so we can't do that. If they're doing things the right way, then our fan base does that all the time. If I wear a red shirt, they think I'm a State fan, on the show or at a baseball game.
Get
I'm
over
like,
it. Let me tell you something. I went to a UNC been 2 or 3 years ago. I went to a UNC game with my wife, and we were walking by the Carolina Club, which is real exclusive over, UNC or whatever. And we were walking by there,
Rams
and
Club, baby.
yeah, Rams Club, yeah, and then so we walking by, and the lady knows my wife from college, who's one of the. We're not Carolina Club members, but you know what they did? They invited my wife in and fed us and gave us some drinks. You know why? Because they wanted my wife to join. But they just didn't think, oh, we're just going to call. They showed my wife a good time and showed me a good time. And hell, I was about 4 or 5 drinks in. Shit, yeah. I mean, you're like, hey, Kendra, if that's what this is your university. If that's where you want to join, you join. But they just didn't assume they were going to call us or something like that. They gave us the experience. I mean, they had Maggiano's that day, Dave Richmond. Maggiano's. And I'm half Italian. They were trying to get to my heart with some chicken parm.
Well, the very fact, and that's here's the other thing I hear, Bubba. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make this point and then throw it to you. But the very fact, I hear this all the time. People say to me, Dave, we don't have the money like you. And well, guess what? If you telling me that we've always done more or less, number one, number two, if you walk around campus in the 90s, whatever, now the students are friendly to each other. That's one of the things I love about ECU. Everybody got along. We were all like pirates. What I'm talking about is hospitality. We're good at it, right? But I don't understand why we use that as an excuse of like, oh, we don't have money. So that means it's like an excuse because you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, and Dave, to your point, as far as reaching out to letter winners, perfect example of that 1978 Independence Bowl team, and we think the world of that 1991 team, and rightfully so, and it should be noted. I mean, very frequently as it is, but we've also had other good teams. 78, 95, and a lot of other examples. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through and name every team, but you have teams like 78 and 95 that are, kind of left by the wayside. You don't have the recognition for them the way you did that 91 team, or maybe even the 83 team. But you have
the 96 team was 25 years old this year.
96 going 8-3 and not getting a bowl bid.
We beat Miami at the Orange Bowl. We beat Miami at the Orange Bowl.
Why are you not recognizing these things like that? It's just beyond me. And the thing is, Dave, you mentioned money. The things that we've done, reaching out and developing relationships with these people via social media. You can probably count the ones that I actually knew on one or two hands. I reached out via social media and had them on our show and, rekindled the good old days of talking about their experiences with East Carolina, and they absolutely loved it. So that has to be done to build those relationships, and it's stuff that doesn't cost money. It takes time, and time is money, but you can do it without, your financial resources. Same thing with that 1978 party that we had at Professor O'Cool's. What did we spend on that? Literally probably $500 max, as far as the shirts we gave away and maybe a few other things. But we
spent $300 on the shirts,
recognizing one of East Carolina's best ever teams, and those players absolutely loved it. Coach Mike Houston, Steve Shankweiler, etc., attended it, and Coach Houston had the opportunity to have that conversation on the phone with Pat Dye before Coach Dye passed.
Yeah, that's one of our when we have our show in March, 4 years. March 1st is our anniversary. To me, that's got to be one of our best moments that we've ever done. And the 1978 team, it was funny because Pays, they were talking about in 2018. Well, we didn't want to have you. The excuse was we didn't want. Basically, they were going to honor the 78 team. They said, but we didn't want to have you at a football game because, in other words, the crowds were by that point so bad. But I was thinking there's many different ways you can honor that team. You should honor them that day. But that team, won the Independence Bowl back then. Pays, the Independence Bowl back then was huge. It's not a bad bowl now.
Games.
That's because there were 15 to 20 bowl games instead of 44.
Yeah.
There wasn't
Uh,
there wasn't as many bowl games, so there was. Yeah, I mean, believe me, I went to the 1983 Blue Bonnet Bowl with my dad. Remember the Blue Bonnet Bowl?
oh yeah.
West Virginia was in the Blue Bonnet Bowl. I went with my dad. Oh, my dad, yeah. I mean, my like I said, my dad's a West Virginia grad, and he talks about going to the, 74 Peach Bowl at West Virginia, played NC State, and those bowl games at that time in the 70s when you got invited to go to one, it was a huge deal. I mean, they've dropped. I mean, it's 2022, and the basketball team, we are 30 years from the last time we went to the NCAA tournament. They should have something for those guys this year.
Yeah, because you know why? If we start doing cool stuff like this, in addition to, I know we've been on on the air now with a show for 2 hours, but instead of being defensive about things, understand that we're not like, it's not shock jock radio with Pays, Bubba, and Dave. It's a matter of, and all the people listening and viewing, it's a matter of listen to the feedback you're getting, because what you're doing is not working. And that's the
They
one
need
thing
to
that
they
drives me.
need to they need to stop talking to the Ruth Chris guys and go back to the Logan Steakhouse guys. And until they do that, they're not going to be able to grow this entity. They've got to start talking to the average fan. The average fan is what drives the boat. The big money folks are going to be what they are. Listen, and I use radio references because it's what I know, but a salesperson that treats Bojangles who spends 30 grand a year at a radio station, but also treats the $1,000 person that has the local restaurant is the
Right.
salesperson that's going to be the most successful.
Amen, brother.
Because they don't treat them no different. Everybody has different budgets, and everybody in life goes through different times where they have different budgets. You might have a kid going to college. Your budget's going to be different than it was 10 years ago when they weren't in college. I have a 6-year-old daughter that's in Girl Scouts, plays soccer. She's in everything right now. My budget's a little different than it was 3 years ago. By the way, I'll be selling Girl Scout cookies. I'll be putting
Hey,
those out.
bring it on here. Yeah.
Good new thin mint. And they got a good new brownie salted caramel coming, by the way.
Well, hey, come on up here. Yeah, come on. We'll sell them on the Sports Objective for you, brother.
But you just can't assume that there's people there's people that has people's life changes. They go from being my life. Listen, 20 years ago, Dave, it's Saturday night. I'm going to the club, do a live broadcast on radio. Okay.
Yep.
It's 2022 right now, and I'm gonna go downstairs and watch Chicago PD for a couple hours before I go to bed. Okay.
You and I are both in the same boat, brother.
That's what I want to do. But our budgets change, our money change, our life changes, but they keep assuming that they're going to keep going to this one well. I keep saying well, they're going to keep going to this one well. And I don't truly understand it. And maybe it's because I'm an East Carolina guy. Maybe that's why I understand this. Maybe that's why, I'm well-rounded. I'm a well-rounded East Carolina guy. I work for Charles Bloom. I worked at the SID office for Charles Bloom for 2 years. I worked at East Carolinian. I worked at the radio station. I'm a proud guy that understands. I mean, I interned with Brian Bailey and I was on the first football Friday night staff back in 1995, in the fall of 95. My dad still has his Pepsi Touchdown Friday jacket that I gave him from 1995. So I've been culturally around a lot of different things that tie to my university. So I see what a white guy is thinking about East Carolina, but I also see what an African-American guy or lady is thinking about East Carolina. And we're all, at the end of the day, we all are proud to be East Carolina alumni and proud to be East Carolina graduates. And the Pirate Club is having a hell of a time getting these two folks together. Right now, it's like this. Right now, we're in 10,000 different places. We're all have the same thing. Bubba has the same thing that anybody else has that wants their university to do well. We all don't have to agree on everything in the world, politics or whatever, but at the end of the day, we're all graduates of East Carolina and we care about our university because our university, East Carolina made me. Okay. It made me. Every time I've been in 4 or 5 different, national publications for radio, being interviewed for different things. The one thing that I always say in these interviews is that I learned how to be a man and I learned how to be a radio person at East Carolina University. I was a 17-year-old only child when my mom and dad sent me to East Carolina in the fall of 1992. I didn't even turn 18 to the 3rd day of class. Okay. I was at Bell Call with no air conditioning on College Hill, watching Jerry Stackhouse get dunked on at the basketball court beside Bell Call. We called that the NBA courts. If you played on the college courts were by Tyler. The NBA courts you had the ball to be able to play on the NBA courts. You know what I'm saying? That you had a Rico Hines and Chuck Jones and things like that. You had to play, but that's where I ate at Raggedy Jones Hall before Todd Hall was there. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta have somebody in that office, in that building, that understands the culture of East Carolina and understands what the average East Carolina person is thinking of. I don't give a damn if they from NC State or Alabama or, when Confer brought all these jokers in from everywhere, wherever they were, none of them understood East Carolina.
That's why they were not successful, brother.
And that's why they're not successful. You have to understand the product. You have to have had to live in the product at some point. I don't know nothing about country radio, country music. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at country music. I've been over country music radio stations in my life as a VP. But the thing is, I had somebody on that country radio that understood the format and understood the lifestyle. They understood it. Now, you put me on a throwback hip hop station, or urban, or top 40, I understand the lifestyle. I'm good. But you throw a news talk on me or something, hey, sports, I'm good. But they don't have that person that understands the culture and the mentality of the average East Carolina fan. We are not a bougie, we're a blue collar fan. We're blue collar, man. East Carolina is blue collar. We work hard. We're not given anything. We have to fight for everything that we get. And until they have that same mentality and do this the right way at the Pirate Club, and just stop going to, the guys that have been cutting checks since the King Sandwich place was down on 14th, when they used to meet there. They called it the Greenville Mafia back in the day. Used to meet there. When they stop going to those guys and respecting those guys, what they've done for the program, but understanding we have to grow it, because you can have both. You can take care of those guys, but you just leaving the other guys completely out, and it's just a sad situation that it continues to go. It's like Groundhog Day, and I'm Bill Murray. It's just, we wake up and it's the same. It's the same stuff. It's the same. We're going through the same stuff, and they've got to change it. They've got to get diverse, and they got to get to thinking that, or it's going to die. The Pirate Club is going to die.
Well, you look at it now, Pace. I'm trying to remember what year this was, but we peaked in the Pirate Club about 8,200 or 8,300 donors. This year, we were right around 5,000 donors, and maybe not even 5,000 donors, somewhere between that 4,500 and 5,000 mark. And, you're still raising the same amount, maybe even more money, but you've lost anywhere from 40 to 45% of your membership. And you look at it, some of the things that I've heard, some we've already referenced, some we have not. And one of the things we haven't is the Young Grad Pirate Club. A Young Grad Pirate Club member, their first year out, you can join for free. So you get them joining for free. They receive a $250 credit. Year two, $50, $200 credit for a $250 gift, and it progressively works its way up to the normal $100 gift in year four. And even when they're giving that normal pirate club the minimum level of $100, they're still getting an additional 150 tacked on in year four for that $250 credit. I've talked to so many, both current athletes, but primarily former athletes that are just out, and then also just general students who are just out, or they have not been talked to. They're totally unaware that they can join for free in that first year. They haven't had. They have. And I haven't talked to obviously all the sports, but I've talked to several sports, and they've said, to their knowledge, they haven't heard from anyone, from the Pirate Club.
And they're not. Bro, let me tell you something. If I'm the Pirate Club, reading day, the day before exams, for all the graduating seniors, I'm renting 5 Points out downtown. I'm putting a stage up. I'm putting food trucks out there. I'm giving them something for free. I'm putting something out there, and I'm signing their ass up as when they're in there having a good time.
Yeah, it's
Every
not.
greeting day,
It's not
I'll
hard.
be doing.
It's not hard.
Like, you think about it this year. Any idea, Dave? Let's say between the spring and winter commencements, how many new grads do we have of East Carolina?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
That's a good question. I have to look that up. I mean,
that number right quick.
I mean, barefoot on the mall when they have it. I'd have a booth out there signing kids up. Signing up for the students, sign them up for the people that are about to graduate. And it's just, if somebody that, and this goes back to Dave and Bubba and people that are listening, it goes back to these folks not understanding the culture at East Carolina. And I don't have an opinion on John Gilbert. I will say that I think John Gilbert's safe. I think that there's a in radio in my industry, we say there's a guy, there's two people in radio. There's the guy that's going to get pissed off and slam the book down and say this is the way this is the way I'm thinking or whatever. But also there's the guy that says when the big boys say the sky looks extra blue today, and that guy goes in and says, "Yep, it's extra blue. It sure is." They're going to agree with him. They're never going to disagree with him. And I don't think John is a bad guy. I just think he's just not going to buck the system. You go back to the Boston College deal. He's not going to call that ball. I'm the AD. I call Boston College's AD, and I'm in his ass. Not caring, but John has aspirations outside of East Carolina that he's not going to buck the system.
Right.
And I have the number for the grads. Spring commencement 2021 4,200, winter commencement 1,800. So right there you have 6,000 new grads of East Carolina University this year. If you do what Pace is talking about, I'm sure you're not going to get everyone, but
say your numbers 15 to 20%. Say your numbers 15 to 20%.
Yep. So at that percentage, you're looking at right around 12 to 1,500 new Pirate Club members. And then in year two, if you have that 1,500 people, the main thing is that you're getting them involved and getting them to understand why they're important. But then let's say you have 1,500 people or so contribute $50. Well, that's $75,000 you didn't have in the past. And the main thing, like I said, is you're getting them involved and getting them hooked on being in the Pirate Club and loving East Carolina University post grad.
Yeah,
I mean, they got to start throwing young alumni events in major metropolitan areas where our alumni is, instead of throwing events for people that are already in the damn Pirate Club. It makes no sense to me. You can do both. You
yeah.
can throw the Armada and butter up whoever you need to butter up that's continuing the money. But the day before, you probably need to throw something else to get people. I'm sure I'm sure you can team up with the alumni and the alumni association or any of the alumni associations. I mean, there's the Native American side of the alumni association. I don't think people understand, like, there's different parts of the alumni association. There's a Black alumni association. I forgot what the Native American, I think they call theirs. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there's different portions of that. Like, start tag teaming these folks, man. Like, start understanding that, and I start understanding of what they're going, because 4,000 or 5,000. If you add 1,000, if you can get 1,000 undergrad, if your average is 6,000, you said about 6,000, Bubba, about
Yeah,
a
so
year.
6,000 is what we had this year.
Yeah, so if you can get 15% of that, which I don't have my calculator, but I know 10% would be 600.
15% would be 900, because 20% is 1,200.
Yeah, so if you could get 15, if you get 900 and you do that 5 years straight,
That's right at
it's
5,000.
4,500 people. You're back to where you were at your peak.
Yeah,
And
Paige, you were talking about that very point about our blue collar. Our fan base are people that take showers after work, and
yeah,
we need to focus on those people. Like I was saying, you look. There's nothing wrong with Armada. Look, I've been to many Armadas; they're fantastic. But we need to have a sports club kind of like, it's only $10 to get in, $15. You get a meal and a great, like when we had, like, if it's Tim Tebow come into town, like for the Autism Society with Kyle Robinson, when they had like those famous speakers like that come in. Why not have him, see if he'll come and talk to members of the Pirate Club, and then you have those of us that feel more comfortable maybe going to I don't know, Parker's Barbecue, or maybe
well,
having
these
something
games,
there
I
on
would tell
campus.
you, Dave, I've seen the research, and like I said, when my wife works in NTR, and I've been around her long enough to know these galas and stuff are played out. They were having, one of the places my wife was working for was having problems, dealing with the galas and making money and getting support for stuff. They threw a food truck rodeo and knocked it out of the park because the young part of the young part of what they were trying to get is donors and people to be committed. They don't go to these galas and stuff no more, man. I hate to say that, they just don't do that. They go to food truck and beer gardens, man. That's what they do. They go to games and drink beer and go to food trucks and drink wine and go to wineries. And we got so many dang wineries in the eastern part of the state, Duplin and Seven Springs up here in Raleigh, and
And
all these. Throw an event at a winery. You know how many women would come to that?
Duplin Winery is a sponsor of the Pirates. They're
Yeah.
the guy. He's a graduate. The young, I can't think of his name. He's a graduate of East Carolina.
Yeah. It's like, go down there, throw an event, and listen. And that's how you start to diversify what we're doing. You start to do different things and think outside of the box of what we're trying to do.
People, Pirate Nation don't like to drink, Pace. What are you talking about? Going to
Let me tell you something. Yeah, I've done it. Listen, we do alumni events. I throw parties all around the nation when ECU's in different places. We've done DC, we've done, Birmingham, we've done Atlanta, Charlotte. I had, when we used to play South Carolina in 2010, I threw a party a Friday night, an event in downtown Charlotte. I had 1,200 people in there, man.
wow.
And 70% of the ECU folks. Terrence Barnhill, who's a friend of mine, who I don't know if Bubba knows Terrence, but
I recognize the name.
Terrence is the head of Bacardi. And he's an East Carolina graduate. He's the head of North and South Carolina Bacardi and I asked him one day, he could have been reached out to.
We need to get Matt Simmons on the show. Loves rum, so there
it is. I mean, get Simmons a bottle sent, but I mean, if I and my business partners, is like three of us, are throwing these events, and we're getting, like I said, ECU homecoming, we're getting 600-700 people. I mean, we throw a tailgate at Drew Still Center for homecoming. I bet you we got 3,000 people over there.
Wow.
Easily. I don't know. Drive by Drew Still Center at a homecoming and see that parking lot. I mean, and look at that parking lot. And it's folks like I said, and we get a lot of folks. My friend Andre Taylor, who is, he's a doctor. He's, went to East Carolina. I mean, we don't reach out to the Divine Nine, the African American fraternities and sororities of East Carolina. You know how much alumni they got?
A lot. Yes, sir. A lot.
I mean, you know how much alumni they got? I mean, do we even reach out to the other fraternities and sororities on the campus of East Carolina? Do we reach out to? I know a couple of them had some issues in the last year or so, but do we reach out to any of those folks and team up and do events? If you don't have money to do certain things, and you have to think outside the box and do other things to figure that out. And I just don't know I just don't understand why those guys are not doing that. And I'll never understand that. I'll never understand that. So.
Yeah, well, the thing is because what we're doing on the show is a perfect example of it's coming from love. If I have a booger in my nose, I hope you guys will tell me. If you're not doing things the right way, or you're not changing with the times, like you're talking about, Pays, is the fact that look at this show. We were recording our show on my Apple phone, my iPhone, right? And look where we are now. We didn't stay the same, did we?
No,
Bubba,
you can't.
Yeah, we couldn't stay the same. We're always looking for different ways to improve our show. We take feedback, emails, calls, different things. People reach out to us all the time of different things that we can do for our show to make it better. And that's what's missing, is that you have to have people that are willing to listen to listen to your customers, because the fans are the customers. And I brag about our university all the time. I said, man, we've got the best fan base of anybody on the planet. I can be on a ship going to the Bahamas, and I have my pirate stuff on, and people say, go Pirates. I can be around the world. People recognize me because I have a pirate. I don't tonight, but I have a pirate shirt on or a hat, and they say, go Pirates. And I'm not anywhere near Greenville, North Carolina. So we have the best fan base. We've got a lot of great people working there. But when it comes to fundraising, I know we had to take, I'll just say this. I know we had to take some hits. We did because of COVID and some bad decisions before the current administration. But I don't understand why we're not spending money as far as getting quality people in. We have some at a Pirate Club, but we need to have people in there like legendary status people. Another person that I'm not sure she has a degree, but she went to East Carolina, Sandra Bullock. There's all kinds of people like that I love her to death. She's one of my favorite actresses. Not only is she a great actress, but she went to East Carolina. There's so many people like that. We could just go on and on and on of East Carolina graduates that look at Curtis Thiemann when he does those interest videos. He's a friend of ours now, and he loves our show. There's all kinds of videos, cool stuff you could get him to do. We could go on and on. Hollywood, what we call Wilmingwood down in Wilmington is big. There's a lot of alums down there. I mean, there's all kinds of people that will but give. But guess what? They're not going to give if you don't ask. It's like asking someone out on a date. They're not going to just say, "I want to go on a date with you," But if you don't ask
Yep.
them, or if you're a politician, you're running for a campaign, you better ask them for your vote. Ask them for the vote. I need your support. Ask them for the vote. If you don't, they're not going to vote for you.
And not
But I
simply
mean,
asking, but and doing those things to build that relationship and and make them see that it's not just you wanting their money, and
right.
that you truly care about what they did for East Carolina University and its athletics program, and or that making them, like Pace has referenced multiple times, make them think about the times, all the excellent memories they had in downtown Greenville or other places in East Carolina, and make them connect to their past, and just
You got you got to
those
set
purple
it.
and gold flames.
When I throw parties for alumni for ECU homecoming and thing like that, our whole marketing plan 30, 45 days out is we start tapping into their hearts, man. Like, do you remember, like I talked about it, do you remember eating a cheesesteak at the galley? Do you, remember, doing this or doing that? Do you remember when it was steak and shrimp night at Jones Hall and they gave tickets out? You could only get some in the football players would try to get my extra tickets. Do you remember? I mean, there's things like, do you remember Substation downtown? Do you
Oh yeah.
remember? I mean, do you remember when uh, you know, you walk across the bridge to the Texas two-step back in the day? Do you remember? I mean, like, tap into that when you can tap into the emotional side. Oh yeah, peanut butter pie. Yes, yes, yes. Do you when you can tap into the emotional side of someone, you can get them in, and you can get them in and hooked. Did you buy a cheese biscuit at Trade Mart on 10th Street?
Oh
You
yeah.
go, you know what I'm saying? Did you at 2:30 in the morning, were you ordering something from Miami Subs? You know, what
Oh
were
my God, I
you
love Miami Subs.
Me too. Many nights there, many nights. But tap into that, did you tailgate where the track and field is now? Did you tailgate? Is that where you tailgate? Did you walk across to the little pirate mini mart to buy your beer where McAllister's is right now?
Yeah.
You know, things like, you have to tap into the emotional side. You got to
Pirates
get
Chest.
creative. Yeah, you got to get creative. I mean, like when we do our events are basically people that graduate from 1990 to 2002. And so we tap into anything that was going on during that era in East Carolina. And for people, we want people to come back and spend money with us. And there's a lot of people that don't come back every homecoming, but we've been successful to get them back by tapping into the emotional side of it. Tapping into that.
Paige, I'll tell you what I'm committed to do. Two things. Number one, I would have to work overnight tonight. I'm not getting sleep, but that's how much I love this school. We didn't play it. We thought it was going to be a 30-minute show. We're at 2.5 hours. But I tell you what we're going to do. I want you to come back on with us
Oh,
any
absolutely. Anytime.
anytime you want. But I tell you what we need to do. There you go. Awesome stuff. Thank you, Mark. The movies, yeah. But I tell you what we need to do. We need to have. I've told this folks for since 2018. Let's do a whole show on the Pirate Club, and let's bring the Pirate Club folks on, and let's have Pirate Nation. If you're watching tonight, listening, we want to get your feedback, your emails, your comments that you guys do on social media. You're awesome. And I want them to hear that, because I tell you, there's a disconnect. I don't think they realize. I do not think they realize. They may tell us they do the lip service. They don't realize how many people they're missing. And I appreciate that's why we've gone this long. That's why I need sleep, and I'm not getting sleep right now because it's that and court. That's how much I love my university. I really do. So, Hayes,
Well,
brother,
hey, I appreciate y'all, man. I've been a fan. I mean, I think what y'all have done with this thing is y'all moved strides here in these 4 years. So I've been a fan from the beginning. So it's a good thing.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much, and you're welcome anytime on overtime whenever you want to come on. We're going to do that. One more thing for the spring game. For the spring game, let's invite every single football player that we know. Let's have them come and be there. A part. I've said that many years. Have a big. Maybe we have B Pace to do a thing that night for them. Let's have a huge reunion for the football players. I don't care if you played in 1973. I don't care, or the 60s. I don't care if you played currently. Let's have all those players come back. Think about how cool that would be, and one big football party for spring. If it's April 9th, the 16th, whenever it is, let's do it.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I already have a set event that we do that weekend, regardless, and we can add on to everything and do. We have a lot of former football players. Larry Shannon's coming back this year. We have a lot of guys. Emax coming back this year. I talked to him yesterday. Wow. Yeah, so we have a lot of former guys that are a lot of guys are coaches in the fall, so it's hard for them to get back in the fall. Yep. But in the spring is when we'll have a ton of Mitch Galloway, we'll have a ton of folks. So,
all right. Well, Bubba, appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, B Pays. Thanks to all the people listening and watching. And we'll get out of here, and we'll be back with you soon, right here on the Sports Objective. Pirates lose again. We were talking about the game 78-75 to Temple. Let's keep it rolling. 1-800-ECU. Get your tickets or ecpirates.com. By the way, baseball deadlines on Monday. Good night, everybody. Go Pirates.